Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, this video is actually meant to be me covering the workshop. Unfortunately, I got so ajar on my topic that I had to cancel the last video. So, the last episode we talked about the 13 warriors and their influence. Now, here's something to note about the workshop. The workshop exists inside and outside the tower. Their whole objective is to find out the 5 questions to all of creation: who, why, when. You get it. All the questions that you can ever ask, they want to know it about everything. So that is their primary search result. The weapons that came into the tower were made by the outside workshop, brought into the tower by the 13 warriors, and on the second or third floor, they established their relationship with the workshop and ended up getting their weapons enhanced to fight in Shinsu and modified to fight in Shinsu. So that is what happened, and that is where the workshop's influence starts in the whole story. Now, beyond all of this, there's a lot of side factors to consider. If you're considering Balm versus the workshop's influence, consider the workshop to be similar to the administrators on each floor who give you training and organize the system so that you don't just get killed off immediately when taking a test. They also help them make sure that the tests weren't going to instantly obliterate them by giving them certain edges in terms of combat. The next thing to note about all of this is there is something else to be noted about some of the words used in the start of the story. Only the chosen ones can open the tower. Right? Only the chosen ones. The only reason Rachel is in the tower is because Balm opened the door. The 13 warriors may have been in the tower only because Jahad could open the door. Jurik was only able to enter because he was a chosen one. Same thing with Andrew, same thing with Phantaminum. But because we're saying that each of them opened it, right, and they've only confirmed one irregular within the tower, they didn't say he is the only irregular in the tower. Not irregular, sorry, the only access in the tower. But they list him as just an irregular, right? That is how they originally listed him, and then they made sure that they gave us the information that he was an access. What if all the irregulars who open the door are accesses? That would mean Jahad, Balm, Henryu, let's see, I'm missing out Yurik, Phantaminum. All 5 of them are access users of variant levels, which would explain why Jahad tried to kill Balm as a baby. Makes more sense than you can even think of. And it would also explain why he wanted Arlene so badly, because Arlene was probably also an access, which is a big possibility. But I'm just going off on a slight adjacent to the whole story. Now, when it comes to the tower's influence of the workshop is responsible for a lot of things. They're responsible for pockets, right? So when they made pockets, they helped the 13 warriors understand the language of the tower, or it was made before that by Maxeth, but I don't think their lifespans were as crazy then as they are now. So Maxeth most probably was a companion of the 13 warriors at some point or the other, because we know that Maxeth and Gustain get along very well. Okay, the next thing that you need to know is when it came to them getting friends or warriors to join them, they needed an organization who could scout the tower quite easily. So obviously that would lead them to individuals who were already from the tower, who understood its structure and understood how to get between between the inner tower to the middle tower to the outer tower. So they would have needed some assistance, so they would have most probably taken members of the workshop with them. And when they did this, that is how they managed to get the workshop to establish on every floor of the tower. We know their climb took some time for them to actually reach the point that they did, and we know that they made contracts for immortality, but not every single last member of that team made those contracts for immortality. We know of only one of the 13 warriors, which makes 0 sense, being V. I suspect V did something a little bit shady, and he has another contract in mind for his version of immortality. We'll find out about that when it happens, but one thing that you should always remember is the workshop is behind 90% of the shady dealings. Now I know somebody's gonna go off and say, how can you suspect the workshop of all of it? They haven't done anything there. They're just a bunch of guys looking for the answers. But here's everything that you need to know. The workshop is most probably responsible for getting Arlene out of the tower. The workshop is most probably responsible for the rise of Pug. The workshop is undoubtedly responsible for helping foster the power of Balm, right? They could have disabled the God of Guardians on the Hell Train, and that would have stopped any other irregular from gaining power to be able to fight with the 13 warriors. But they didn't. They left him there. We know they altered the memories of the Guardians on the tower, of the train, so that they don't remember V and Arlene. But they didn't erase their memories of how to train irregulars, which is kind of pointless, because if they had removed that, it would mean that there would be no threat to Jahad. So we know they're definitely not pro-Jahad. We know that they will side with whoever till they can get their objective complete. So they're another snake-like organization. I'm suspecting they're also going to approach Balm at some point or the other, because they want to know the answers to the tower, right? And I have a feeling that they have they'll have a mutual understanding with getting out of the tower at the end being what they're going to do. So it's either going to be Rachel or Balm that's going to be their linchpin. Now, to understand how big of an influence the workshop had on the 13 warriors, you need to take Balm into consideration, right? Fug is the equivalent of the workshop, right? When it comes to Balm's companions, his companions don't compare to his power. And when it comes to him climbing the floors, it's a different story because he didn't have companions with him. The 13 warriors went up as a group. Now, as a group, you can spar and train together. And if you are similar or equal in levels of strength, that means you'll get stronger and stronger as a group. If V and Jahad constantly butted heads as they climbed up the tower, that would tell me that V and Jahad were extremely powerful individuals. They most probably could compete with each other. And if you're counting those aspects put together, that would tell you that their development in terms of power was crazy because of the number that they had. But the decisive point for this entire situation is the Hell Train. When they entered the Hell Train and when Balm entered the Hell Train, the difference in power isn't as small as it is right now. Yes, Balm had a 1.5 month advantage on the Hell Train compared to them, but this is where the influences start to mingle together and show as a whole, right? When Balm was with another irregular and received training from another irregular, his power went through the roof like no man's business. There was the hidden floor. 1 month and he was capable of being stronger than Jahad was at the end of his trip off the Hell Train. Right? We know that the entire Hell Train lasts several long months. And just to say that they would tell you how much of potential Balm actually had. His growth on the Hell Train was no small feat, and he was still holding back in the fact that he didn't try to unleash the second Thorn fragment, which opened on its own and gave him the power. Next thing to note about the two. The fact that they had someone like Gustang amongst them means that they learned how to use Shinsu more efficiently much earlier. Balm learning the black hole sphere and orbs when he did is most probably much later of a development than what the 13 warriors had. And that's because they had each other and they had the assistance from the workshop, giving them stronger weapons, bettering their weapons, improving their class and ability with what they were given to use in each fight. So that is the workshop's influence, and we have to use some comparative sense. Thinking about it, think about Balm. Balm generally doesn't like using weapons. It's generally the way that he fights. He uses his hands and he uses his Shinsu. He hardly uses irregular techniques except for when he's fighting rankers who are just a bunch of sissies picking on a baby. That's how it really is, and this baby is kicking their butt with techniques that are really, really heavy. But that is the reality of what the workshop did for the 13 warriors. Now consider when they entered the train, they weren't all that powerful, right? And when they left the train, they were crazy powerful. As a group, they most probably could have taken out a ranker together, right? The three of them put together most probably could take out a ranker, or with their power up as a regular level, they most probably were on par with the ranker. When Balm activated all his power and ignited the Thorn Fragment, he was insane, right? He was far beyond the rankers. The rankers were just one shot away from death if he hit them. That is how insane the power shows. And similarly, the 13 warriors were at that level when they left the train. But this is with influence from floors 3 or 4 all the way to floor 43. No, 43 is the 44th floor, all the way to the 44th floor. If you count this, that's 44 floors of influence from one organization. And thinking about all of this, it's insane to just think about the slight logistics of where they are in the story. They're at floor 63 in season 3. If you're counting on this year, they still got another set of climb to go, most probably about 20 or 30 floors, because we know that Balm is a C rank regular. So he's definitely above floor 60 in where he's reached, right? Actually, no, the nest, if I'm correct, is on floor 63. Yama's cage is on floor 54. So yeah, that's what we know. They've made this crazy climb up all this way. He's beat a ranker officially in the ranking bureau. So thinking about all of this is the influence of the workshop on what the 13 warriors did. And they most probably were after the ascension through the top to the outside of the tower. They want all the answers, right? So there is no way that they would be in support of Jahad stopping that pursuit. They want all the answers, and all the answers lay at the top of the tower. That is what Hedon tells us in the start, and that lines up so well with the workshop's goal, that it most probably is suspicious that they are doing what they are doing and not taking down Jahad. So note that they are most probably the most shady organization from everybody. They help Fug because they want to develop their slayers to be able to kill those who are stopping them from completing the climb. They want all the information. Gusting wants all the information, that's why he wants to complete the climb. If you count it on the same route, Kun Edwan is a battle crazy maniac. He most probably wants to keep climbing, but he couldn't resist against Jahad's power, and he figured that even if he joined V, he wouldn't be able to beat him because of the way in which he made his contract for immortality. No member of the tower can actually beat Jahad. You'd have to be unbound by the contracts. But the 13 warriors are bound by the contract somehow because of a difference in their original power, most likely. They are somewhat unbound, but they are more bound than bound. And we'll find out about this as the story continues. And we'll find out more about the workshop as we reach those points. So catch you all in the next one. Have a good day.